and one of the few Democrats still left in Jefferson City. Good morning, Nicole Galloway.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Good. How are you doing this holiday season?
I am doing great.
So the reason why we have you on is during the whole Ferguson mess, we kept talking about Pine Lawn and some of the other municipalities and the trouble that they were causing for their residents and the towns that have 3,000 people yet write 17,000 tickets. And one of those was Pine Lawn. And the legislature passed some laws to sort of help the citizens in these towns with the exorbitant fees and taxes and police tickets and everything else. You have since done a study of Pine Lawn. The law, Nicole Galloway, as I understand it, says that no more than 15% of the general revenue is allowed to come from tickets. Is that correct?
Well, there's actually, so what you're referring to, the law that you're referring to is Senate Bill 5, which was passed with bipartisan support because obviously there was an issue identified in which citizens were being used to fund municipal government through tickets. Then there was a lawsuit, and I am actually a party to that lawsuit, which has stopped the enforcement of Senate Bill 5 for the time being. We did an audit of Pine Lawn to see what kind of revenue they were getting from excess traffic violations, what other kind of, how they were operating and how they were treating their citizens. And what we found was troubling. And so we issued that report back in June of 2016, and we did a follow-up report to see if there has been corrective action, that they have adjusted their procedures in the way that they should under the law.
And, okay, let's go back to the 15%. So that law is being challenged in the court. So we revert back to the old law, which is the Max Creek law, right? So that's what, 30%?
Yes, that's right. And that's what was under the time period of our audit was 30%. And even with that 30%, that increased percentage amount, we still found that Pine Lawn owed more than $400,000 to the Department of Revenue because of excess traffic violations. That's $400,000. And ultimately, that money is supposed to go back to local schools. And it's very troubling. We found that in our follow-up audit, the city has made no progress and does not appear to have any plans to repay that money to the Department of Revenue at this time.
Pine Lawn, you also found out that is it true that 46% of the budget comes from tickets in Pine Lawn?
Yes, that's right. That 46% is that $400,000. And at the time of our audit, the percentage was 30%. You can imagine how much more would be owed if the actual amount was the 15% as proposed under Senate Bill 5.
Nicole Galloway, auditor for the state of Missouri, did you find anything else troubling with the city or the town of Pine Lawn?
Well, back in August of 2015, the municipal judge ordered about 11,000 warrants to be recalled and receive new court dates. And the court staff has made little progress entering these cases or setting new court dates. We also found basic operating procedures like bank reconciliations or identifying liabilities where money is supposed to go. Those things were not being done. And so, there is an obvious disconnect between the standards people expect from any level of government and the activity that we have identified in the Pine Lawn Municipal Court.
You're saying that they're not handling basic banking account functions?
Basic accounting functions. I mean, as a citizen, as an individual, you balance your checkbook so you know what money's coming in and coming out. The Pine Lawn Municipal Court isn't even doing those basic type functions.
It says here that of the 10 areas reviewed in this follow-up report, only one had been implemented. That's
right. So they have made progress in improving their case files. So there's certain information that's required in a case file, like a docket or warrant or tickets. And so they have improved collecting the basic information needed when a case file is developed on an individual.
Everything else, they either it's worse or didn't do anything to sort of help solve the problem.
That would be correct.
So what happens now? You're just the auditor. You count it up. You write the report. You don't have any authority to do anything about this, right?
Well, it depends on where the lawsuit goes. At the resolution of the lawsuit, I will do anything that I can to assist in carrying out the enforcement of Senate Bill 5 and the law. But regardless of what happens there, we find issues with municipal courts throughout the entire state, including St. Louis County, such as Pine Lawn, Wellston, Northwoods, Bella Villa. And so I will continue to hold these courts accountable. We have found fees that were charged to citizens that were against the law. We have found municipal judges that haven't kept on their court dockets. We've also found where there's just plain fraud. And so I'm going to continue to hold these municipal courts accountable until there are changes, because government exists to serve its people and not itself.
I understand that, but assuming whatever fraud you ferret out or find or whatever else, you can't arrest, you can't charge. That comes from the Attorney General's office.
If we find fraud, we work with law enforcement, and we will work with law enforcement if we find issues of fraud to hold these folks accountable. And in addition to that, sometimes it is frustrating where we find instances of fraud or public misconduct or public officials lining their pockets with public dollars, and there aren't additional steps we can take. That's why we have implemented or proposed Senate Bill 176. Which will increase the penalties of public officials who commit fraud or public misconduct.
So you're saying, Nicole Galloway, that the town of Pine Lawn owes the state $400,000 because it's taking too much money out of ticket revenue for their general funds, and they're not even paying that back to the state.
They're not paying it back, and it appears they have no plans to do so. We're making steps to do that, and that's just for 2015. We haven't even, they haven't even calculated that for 2016 yet.
Did they help you at all with this audit, or did they hinder you in the process of gathering all this information?
They were cooperative, and so we did not have a problem conducting this follow-up review to get the information that we're presenting today.
There it is, the auditor for the state of Missouri, Nicole Galloway, the only Democrat left in Jefferson City. Must be a very lonely Christmas down there, Miss Auditor.
Well, I'll tell you what, sometimes being an auditor is a lonely path anyway.
All right, there you go. Merry Christmas, Nicole Galloway. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You got it. Nicole Galloway, Missouri State Auditor. Pine Lawn owes the state $400,000. Imagine, I couldn't get my plates for a car because I owed $65.
For 15. Again, 16 has not been tallied up yet, so there's more on the way. There is more on the way. They might be close to $1 million when it's all said and done.
I mean, I owe $62 on my personal property tax, and they won't give me a license plate. And they'll go to the ends of the earth to track down my $12.
Oh, yeah.
But by golly, Pine Lawn can write excessive tickets, do nothing in terms of having any type of remnants of a town to do anything, reconcile bank accounts. And the state is silent on it. It's unbelievable. Where are the Black Lives Matter protesters? Mm-hmm. Where, right?
The only person we've heard from is Nicole Galloway. That's the
Pine
only person.
Pine Lawn is predominantly an African American community. Their government is taking advantage of them, using them, and abusing them.
Are they aware of that, you think?
In all sorts of, yes, they are. They most certainly are. And nothing. Crickets. Silence. Nobody cares. But you arrest a bad guy who's selling drugs on a corner, all of a sudden Black Lives Matter is all over the place. But the town owes the state $400,000 because they overcharged or over-ticketed their residents. And nothing. They don't reconcile bank accounts. They have all of these warrants out for their arrest that just sort of linger out there. Wow. By the way, the Pine Lawn mayor sits in jail, Sylvester Caldwell, for shaking down businesses in Pine Lawn. And when they arrested him, he wasn't living in Pine Lawn. Why? Because his wife said she was afraid to live in Pine Lawn. This is the wife of the mayor of Pine Lawn. It's just unbelievable. All right, 8:19, big